Kano State, just as majority of its neighbors close to the Sahelian region are almost perpetually living on the edge of water scarcity or outright drought. Well, aware of this and through their lived experiences, successive governments in the state have always tended to prioritize the provision of potable water and systems to ensure continuous irrigation and support agriculture. Umar Doguwa is the Kano State Commissioner for Water Resources. He joins us now to discuss the water sector reform in Kano State under the administration of Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf. Great to have you on the program this afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us here on Newsday.
Thank you very much.
Could you outline for us just three of the most critical and immediate reforms that your ministry has implemented since coming into office to address this crisis that has been going on for decades concerning water supply in your state?
Well, thank you for having me today, and let me quickly put the record straight. The water scarcity in Kano is not something that was inherited for a long period of time. I could recall very vividly during the outbreak era, there are measures that were taken to make sure that Kano people get adequate water supply. And likewise, during the era of Alhaji Muhammad Abubakar Rimi, measures were taken to make sure that we have adequate water supply in the state, both at rural and in the urban centers. Likewise, during the time of His Excellency Senator Raji Musa Konkoso, that ended in 2015, he left office with almost all the water installation properly working, at least at 90 to 100% capacity. The recent crisis was inherited after the immediate government of Ganduje left office, where we inherited a total dilapidation of almost all the structures in the water sector. So if you say it's an inherited for decades, maybe it's a very not so straight perception. The perception was that this situation happened during the time of Ganduje, that maybe chooses to left all the requirements that the water sector needed in shambles. Let me tell you that the three critical sectors that we have are the urban or greater Kano, that consists of 8 or 9 local government areas. Then we have what we call the semi-urban, that consists most of the majority of the local government headquarters, and there is the rural water sector. When we came in, what we do as a government was to address these three critical issues head on. Let me give you an example with the Greater Kano. The Greater Kano received its water from 3 main sources. We call one Wateri Water Treatment Plant, and there is Chalawa Water Treatment Plant, and there is also the Tambula Water Treatment Plant. All these, in 2015, our Congress was living office were in good condition. But unfortunately, when we came back, we made them in total dilapidation. The Chalawa consists of about 3 components. We have the first water works that was established in 1930. But unfortunately, when we came in, that particular treatment plant was out of use, completely shut down. And even not shut down, but most of the critical equipment were sold out, and some were vandalized. And if you take the intake that was constructed during the time of Indira II, it was shut down, and most of the equipment there were also removed and sold out by the Ganduje administration. So you see, that particular treatment plant, the solar treatment plant, supplied the urban Kano, take care of more than 40 to 50% of urban Kano. So when you cripple that particular treatment plant, it's like you are crippling water supply to the density. So what we are doing now is massive purchase of all the necessary equipment. It should be on record that His Excellency Alhaji Abba Kabir Yusuf, the governor of Kano State, purchased 10 number of pumps. This number of pumps are just not ordinary pumps, are pumps that cost billions of naira, and he purchased 10 of them to be installed at different water treatment plants. We have already installed 2 at Tambulawa, where we've installed 3 at Chalawa, and we have now 5 on standby. And he also makes sure that all the ones that were either so unserviceable were now serviced and they are in good condition. And he also makes sure that for the supply to be constant and steady, we make sure that we have what we call an agreement with KEDCO. KEDCO is the energy sector that gives us power, the company that supply power to Kano State. We have an agreement with them whereby they give us at least minimum of 20 to 23 hours per day, and we pay them as at when due regularly. We also make sure that unlike before, where we have water being supplied to people untreated, we now make sure that all the water that is supplied to people is well treated. In terms of the semi-urban, we've also shortlisted some. We've also made an effort to make sure that we discover certain places. Just last week, His Excellency awarded a contract of over ₦1 billion to make sure that Rano got a very big treatment plant that will be supplying water to the Rano and environs. So a lot of drastic measures were taken by His Excellency the Governor. The issue of chemicals is also addressed properly, where we used to supply chemicals to all these treatment plants as at when due and on a regular basis. So His Excellency is taking all these problems head on, and Alhamdulillah, we can thank God for the wonderful he's doing to us. Water is now somehow available in Kano, and we are also coming up with other measures. There is this issue of AFD, a French development partnership for improvement of water sector in the state, which we inherited. We inherited a very solid set of that project because most of the money that we are giving to the state to start anything was not utilized properly. So His Excellency halted the program, but now after proper explanation, meetings and counter meetings with ambassadors, France and other places, we have now agreed to continue the project, but on a more modified, a more dignified, a more actionable process. So water sector reforms in Kano State is taking a very good shape.
Now, thank you so much, for that detailed explanation. So how is the administration addressing, the issue of poor maintenance culture and weak cost recovery mechanisms so that, these reforms can be sustainable?
Yeah, even now, as I'm speaking to you, a committee is now waiting for me on standby. We have now formed 3 major committees. We have 4 committees, sorry. We have the task force. These are experts that serve in the water sector for decades. Some of them retired permanent secretaries, some of them retired directors, some of them retired directors for different sectors of the water. We have formed a committee that we call the task force. This committee was formed by His Excellency Kabir. Now we also went ahead to form a committee for all these 3 major treatment plants. We have the Chalawa, the Tambulawa, and the Wateri. We have formed a special committee for them, whereby they look and check for the low-hanging fruit, any maintenance that will be deemed fit to do that we think if not done will have adverse effect on the water supply in the state is now being addressed very, very regularly. So we don't now allow this thing to become maybe out of control before we start even thinking of maintaining it. We are maintaining regularly, we are supervising regularly. I do visit them at 10 o'clock in the night, at 12 o'clock in the night to make sure that all these things are working the way they are supposed to work.
And you have publicly warned about individuals and companies illegally diverting treated water for activities like farming and the like. So what concrete enforcement mechanisms, including surveillance, penalties, anything to detract individuals or even coordination with other state agencies, what has been put in place in order to mitigate this potential situation?
Yeah, when we came in, one of the third events, one of the third thing we noticed was that people along the line of pipe maybe diverting that water to their farms, a treated water. Maybe we caught water for more than 100 and something pumps that were hitherto diverting it to maybe water their crops. And we feel it's not the right thing to do because this water is treated with chemicals and it's at a certain cost to the government, and it's supposed to be used for drinking purpose, not for watering flowers and other crops. So we take measures. We wrote, first of all, to the Anti-Corruption and Public Complaint Commission, which take a very drastic measure on it. People were invited, our workers that were involved were summarily dealt with according to the civil service rules. And we've now, because of that action that is taken, we now have a very clean and clear sector that people don't want even be involved or even want their name to be dragged into that issue of maybe diverting water to irrigate crops or something like that. And we are investigating this. Like I told you earlier on, I used to visit these treatment plants sometimes 12 o'clock. So it's not surprising to see me in a farm around 10 or 1 o'clock checking to see if there is this illegal connection. And because of that surveillance that we are taking, we've already keyed in with the Nigerian Civil Defense Corps and other vigilante groups that are watching. Whenever something like that happens, definitely government is not going to look the other way.
So what role do public-private partnerships, play in the present reform framework in Kano State?
When we came in, what we did first was to conduct a public sensitization. We do visit all the emirs that we have, Gaya, Rano, and even the main Kano Emirate and RIA. We visited them, we solicited for their support, we work with Dagatif and all the traditional institutions. That this thing, the water that we have now is not the issue of government. Individuals must also come in to make sure that these kind of things are sustained. We have before an MOU with the company to supply water to Wudil and Gaya, which we inherited actually from the father administration. But when we look at the MOU, we feel like government was not properly represented in the whole episode. So we think that it's lies on government to have that kind of MOU. So we review it, and we are in the process of maybe looking. The governor is saying that he can do it by himself, and we are pushing him to do it by himself, and definitely, inshallah, he'll do it by himself. We also have the same thing at Joda, where we have an agreement with one company, PPP, that we are not doing the right thing. So to us, water is one of the most, it's a right. Everybody must have water, good drinking water for that matter. So governor is saying that he can do this thing, and is willing to do it, and is doing it. So maybe it is when we are done with all these issues of setting this thing aspect, maybe it's then that will invite private-public partnership. But for now, the government is up and doing, and we are equal to the tax, and inshallah, we are going to supply the Kano people with good drinking water.
All right, and with that said, Honorable Umar Doguwa, Commissioner of Water Resources in Kano State, we'd like to thank you so much for joining us here on Newsday.